Well. You're listening to Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright then, I may say words on point, straightforward. No jibber jabber, everybody forward. Issues, facts and solution. Get it at Gloves Off with Professor Buitrón. Alright, what other thing is a revolution? Get it on point with Professor Buitrón. Gloves Off, no nonsense issues, politics, community. A better men for Laredo. Gloves Off, a revolutionary show with everything that you need to know. With Professor Buitrón. Watch ya!
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.
We're back at you in Gloves Off, and look at the way we're looking because we're in the COVID-19 Laredo lockdown. And I'm here with the Judge Jesus Garza, who is also a podcaster. He has Laredo 24/7, and we're going to be talking about issues that come within the COVID lockdown and what's happening here in Laredo. Good afternoon. How are we doing, Judge? You doing good?
Good afternoon, Paul. I hope you had a good Easter.
Easter was great. You know, there was a couple of issues there.
We all stayed home and barbecued in the backyard. Pleasant.
I took food to my mom. My kids passed by, gave me a hug, and then they took off, and that's about it. That's what we did. That's the way it should be.
Right.
But what do you feel about everything that's going on? From the change to that you have to wear a mask as soon as you step outside of your house, and so on and so forth, and all that. What's your feeling?
I think that my view is that I'm sure the city of Laredo is going at what's considered reasonable. I don't have a problem with people wearing masks in public. I think that's we have to protect each other, protect our families, and there's nothing wrong with that. So long as we're reasonable people making reasonable decisions, it's okay. It gets a little bit offish when they tell us to wear masks inside the house, and I understand what they mean when they have people coming from other who don't live at the house, and that creates a problem. But again, I'm okay with the mask thing so long as they're reasonable. But there seems to be other issues with this whole thing that concerns me.
Issues how? What kind
Well,
of issues?
I think that the way we're reporting our information needs a little bit more to be more transparent. I think that the leadership with the city of Laredo is leaving some stuff there that just needs to be covered as well. For example, I mean, we're supposed to stay home unless you're essential and you have to go to the groceries or go to the doctor, things like that. Okay. And so I think we need to report. We need to keep doing that. We need to remind everybody to do it because it seems a lot of people forget. So I don't have a problem with that, obviously. But the thing is that it just when we get the report from the city of Laredo, it seems to me that the report is still incomplete. In other words, what I mean is that it doesn't tell us how many people are being hospitalized. If you don't tell us how many are hospitalized, then you don't tell us, because that's what they're reporting across the country. We know how many people are in ICU. If we know how many people are in ICU and whether or not there's an increase or decrease, that's one of the basis or metrics to determine how long this is going to continue. And if you ask the city of Laredo, well, how long are we going to be wearing the mask? I don't think anybody would probably knows, including myself, but I'll tell you this, that I think the public would want to know what are the metrics. How many people need to get tested before we have an idea? What is the ratio for those people being testing positive? Then how many people are in the ICU also as well, to determine whether or not we've already reached the plateau or we still need a lot more to go. Based on what I see though, it seems to me that 1,000 people being tested isn't enough, and I understand the city. For 260,000 people, 1,000 people being tested is not enough to tell us where we're at this point.
You're absolutely correct, and the numbers, there's more likely there's a lot of people, like a lot of people are saying, and doctors are saying that the vast majority either already had mild symptoms, they already went through it, they left COVID behind. All that has to be found out, right? There's a lot of questions in there. I do understand what you're saying about the leadership. The leadership is the mayor. He's nowhere to be found. There's people trying to figure out where he's at. The mayor has to be more, he has to show that he's a leader.
Well, it seems to me that, Dr. Gonzalez is doing, I would imagine, his best, and the fire chief as well. However, we do need the political component to be a part of the daily briefings to keep us abreast about how we're doing with this curfew in terms of enforcing it, and whether or not maybe what is the criteria to remove the ordinance. Those issues still haven't, in my view, haven't been cleared out.
I'll say this. I'll continue that thought pattern. Is the mayor? You see the mayor of New York, see the mayor of San Francisco, see the mayor
And the governor.
And the governors, of course.
The president, of course.
The mayor of Dallas, the mayor of Rio Bravo, the mayor of Corpus Christi, San Antonio. All the mayors have come out and said something. He has not. People are looking to you as a light. You are the lighthouse. And people are out there trying to come to dock, and there's no lighthouse. People are lost. They need to hear the mayor. And I like the mayor. He's
you need to be able to hear from your medical authorities, definitely. You need to hear from law enforcement to tell us we're enforcing these rules equally and fairly. And then you need this leadership. In a pandemic, you need a leadership component. You can't leave everything to the fire chief and Dr. Gonzalez. They've got some good and bad, and for the most part, they're doing their best. However, I just heard our county judge speak out today. After it's been over a week, we haven't heard from him, at least. The mayor was otra cosa, we haven't heard from him. And I'm glad to hear that the councilman out there telling us not to make sure we wash our hands and do things like that. However, it's more than just the medical part of it. It's the leadership part of the component to tell us what are the metrics to be able to know where we're at with this. We have too much anxiety out there in the community, and people want to know when. What the city, the health department can't tell us exactly when. There should be markers already being made out there to determine when we're going to be able to figure this thing out.
Here's what I'm going to see happening. You're going to get the governor and say, you know what, we're going to open up in this date. And you're going to see the Laredo's going to say, oh, we're going to do this, or there's going to be a fight there. Okay, I foresee that coming. Okay, but again, the governor is the one that dictates. We have to get on with our lives. Okay, the residual effects of this pandemic is you cannot compare it to any war or so on and so forth, because you have a lot of people trying to compare it to Vietnam. No, it's not Vietnam. A war is a war. This is not a war. It's totally different. Here you stopped everything. Okay? The numbers don't add up for the stopping of the whole system. The whole life just ceased. We're going to have evictions. We're going to have people that are paying child support. You're going to have courts that are going to be backlogged. Besides that, you're going to have when this gets back on, you're gonna have electric companies, utility companies coming after people. You're gonna have taxes coming after people. There's so much that is just gonna hit us like a brick wall when this is all over. That 90 days right after this, people are not expecting it.
Well, another part of it, you're 100% correct. The other part is not the social development, the development of small business, and of course, the daily, the families out there that can't afford to pay for their groceries. That's gonna be an issue. You saw in San Antonio, they had over 6,000 people just Friday in line for the food bank. You're seeing food banks be depleted all over the country. That's another issue that we haven't talked about, the issue about food. And the leadership is where it comes in. It's a moving project, it's a moving thing, but what I like about Governor Cuomo that I've seen lately is the fact that he's able, okay, he takes his 2 hours, whatever time he takes, but he talks about this issue, this issue, this issue. Whether we like President Trump or not, but he's out there talking about this issue, this issue, this issue. Locally, we have the same problem. We can keep talking about the medical part of it, which is very good. I'm glad to hear that we're getting at least some basic figures, even though we can give more. But there's a lot more to go that the government needs to do.
No, you're absolutely correct. What I see that's coming of age here, and I see problems right now developing. Listen, you have kids that get sexually abused. You have domestic violence, women beating up and men beat up on women. You got kids that don't want to go home because of a father that's alcoholic or a mother that's abusive. You have that, and you have them right now locked up. That is going to escalate. Yesterday we had one, domestic violence. Police showed up to the house. There's a lot of different conflicting stories that he was holding a knife and the policeman shot him in the house. Now you get somebody said, no, he shot himself in the head, but then why did he have a knife? So, you know, the whole thing. Those things are going to escalate, and you're going to start seeing that. The sexual abuse, the domestic violence abuse, all that. Those issues are going to just boom in a very short period of time. And then you have, when you get that, you have the issues of crime. Okay, you have the difference between a person that's home invader, and you have a difference between a person that's a burglar. Okay, I'm going to tell you the difference that I'll see. A burglar doesn't want to get caught. Right now, everybody's at home. Nobody's going to go inside your house to steal. A burglar's not. They're going to try to steal the businesses that are vacant right now. Those are the ones that are going to get hit. People are going to, that's going to happen. Okay? Home invasions. It's already happening across the nation. People going in there. When people are there and basically invading the home and stealing, those are occurrences. We live in a state where the majority of us have a Second Amendment rights. I think the Second Amendment right now is the most precious of all our amendments because the first has already been trampled on. Okay? This past weekend, the first one was trampled on left and right. Freedom of religion was trampled on. Freedom of assembly was trampled on. So there's a lot of issues here that we can become very tyrannically governed, and we have to start, these leaders have to kind of step back and say, you know what, let's ease off what's going on here, because we're in troubled ground. What do you say about that?
Well, again, it just, this is obviously a new normal in a time, it's not a normal time. And I think that what leaders should do, this is when leadership matters. Competence and leadership, check mark. That's what matters right now. People don't want to talk about politics. They don't want to talk about other matters about leaders, other than the fact that you're competent and that you will lead us into a basically normal life. And I think that the local leaders need to step up. I think that business is hurting, and a lot of families are home. Once it's all over with, these kids are not gonna have, thanks to the school districts that are feeding a lot of kids, you know, they wouldn't have any food. Unfortunately, I'm hopeful that we're gonna get there. And by the way, the school districts, they're gonna have to face the facts. At one point, very soon, might as well cancel school. I know they're trying to do the distance learning, But if you look at those numbers that I've seen privately, or, well, not privately, but what I've heard, not privately, we're not having all the kids being registered back to school. You can't find a lot of the kids. They don't want to be registered. They don't want to be found. And also, a lot of them don't have the internet. So there's a lot of issues that this pandemic showed, a lot of weaknesses in the school districts. That might as well just finish the school district. Anyway, the governor already given the power to pass or fail kids. They might as well just wrap up the grades because they're not going back to school anytime soon. But having said that, the whole issue to me is the issue of leadership and the issue of competence. That's what people want, and that's why people are going to vote in November. They want to see their local leaders lead by example.
And right now, they're not. Right now, they're not. People might forget the tyrannical stances that they placed because they
No,
all.
well, that's part of it. I mean, one of the things about tyranny is the fact that when you don't have real leaders, tyranny will somehow show its face
Sure.
in pandemics.
Yep.
But real leaders don't do that. Real leaders do balance the rights of all the people, and try to figure out the most reasonable way of dealing with issues.
And that's what
And if you
that's
don't
what
go
gets me,
before the
Judge.
public, and you don't go do the press conferences, and you don't meet with the people on a daily basis, the chances are they're going to write a piece of paper and say, "These are the rules." That's it. No matter. And the bad thing is that there's always exceptions, and there are always issues about any of those type of pandemic rulings.
Sure.
That you need to continuously be working on. But that's just my view on that issue.
No, but it's your view as a judge, and that's and you've studied that. That's basically what happens here. I see Laredo stepping back. I saw a lot of distraught things occurred this past weekend. Okay, one of them is Christians pointing the finger at other Christians. People becoming Judases. Why? Telling the city, well, if there's more than 10 people, do we complain? And people on the city Facebook page, oh yes, please do so. Complain at this number. That's called a quislinger. Okay? And when you quisling on somebody, people do not know the history, and I'll repeat it. The word comes out during World War II. You had a Jewish family that was hiding at this house, and your good Catholic Christian neighbor would pick up the phone and say, hey, Commandant, right here is, there's a couple over here in the attic, they're living there, they take extra food, and guess what? They'll get picked up and carted away. That's exactly what was going on here. And you saw the sheriff do that, report. You saw the city of Laredo do that. To me, that was the most degrading thing, especially on Easter.
Well,
you know, you saw the face of Judas come of age.
It's called snitching.
Of course.
But having said that, the point is, I do hope that our leaders come up, and that's what we know about leadership, when they come before the public on a daily basis and, put up with the tomatoes they throw at you or the pies, but at least you're out there telling us what's going on, and that's what we need to see.
And now, you're absolutely correct. Now let's talk about November, because we opened the door for elections. In November, people might forgive, like I said, the tyranny, but they're not going to forgive that you destroyed their business. They're not going to forgive that you guys removed food from their plate, that you made them lose their job and their house and so on and so forth. So that is going to be a crucial in November. And I see many of the ones here that are running for re-election might not make it. But I am gonna before we do close, folks, if you all have any trouble doing your SBA loans and
Right.
Judge Garza is doing them, please, he'll help you out.
There's two of them. They need to understand that the SBA set aside some money for small business to be able to make sure that your business continues to go on and work. And the way it works is you fill out an application, and the SBA, through the Internal Revenue Service and maybe the crediting companies, check your credits and they check your records and stuff like that. And then it's possible for them to give you up to a $10,000 advance loan. And if you're able to meet certain requirements, they will waive that amount and make that a grant. And the other loan is really the more popular one, which is called the Check Protection Act, the Paycheck Protection Act. And that is one where all the businesses who have restaurants and people who normally have quite a few employees, in order to keep your business going, and you've been suffering through this whole situation, that you can take out a loan through the SBA and really $50,000, $100,000 loans even, and you'll be able to apply with them. Then of course they check your credit, they check, make sure that you have a payroll and that you're able to, there's a lot more criteria than the original one. But if you do all that, chances are you're going to get this loan that's forgiven if in fact you pay your employees 75% of that money to your employees. You pay it back through paychecks. And that becomes a grant, which is very good for all local businesses. And I urge, if you have a small business, it could be a business of one, by the way. You don't have to have 10 employees. Just one employee is good enough. You should check it out.
That's good news because, like I said, we, the community, have to embrace the others in the community, and we have to start picking each other up by the hand.
That's right.
Okay, because our leaders aren't going to do that for us. They're there to do their own bidding, but they haven't shown. There's only two, and that's Mercurio Martinez, councilman, and that's Vidal Rodriguez. Those are the only two. The rest of them are working out in different areas. They might understand that this is it, and they might, but they have not. The city put out some stuff, go to the SBA, look at this and your website. Well, anybody can do that. But
really, at the end of the day, though, the small owner right now has to be thinking, how am I going to pay the rent, the water? How am I going to keep these employees? And how am I going to be able to sell my stuff in a month from now, whenever they open? They need to seriously think about where they're going to hit on. And I really urge them that they go to the SBA and get that done. And I'll give you a call.
On another note, I'll put the number up once the video's done and everything else, and if you all need help with that, you guys will go ahead and help you out with that in there. If you guys have any questions, otherwise, if you guys are going through some severe depression, please call Pilar of Laredo. If you're going through suicidal notes, Pilar of Laredo can help you out. The community is going to embrace everybody. The community of Laredo is going to help out Laredoans, and that's basically the way it's going to be. And remember, the non-essential politicians that are running for re-election, remember them in November, because that's how we can change this to the positive. So next time, I want to thank you, Judge.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
Everybody, peace.
The following political paid advertisements do not reflect the political opinions of the program or its associates. Any political campaign or candidate who wishes to purchase advertising can do so. Advertising is open to all on behalf of Gloves Off.